You know how you could tell that we're really in preseason NFL? The season is upon us. We got a serious injury to talk about here. It's going to have a lot of impact. A lot of people freaking out. Of course, today's another day, though. We'll do a Best Ball Mania draft with $1.5 million to first place. Of course, I'm going to do the best I can to build a good team and hopefully not tilt along the way, but we'll find out how that goes. I am, of course, already in a draft room, and this is a not badge-heavy room, rather. So up here, especially a lot of guys that maybe make some wild moves. We've seen how sniping can affect guys. As yesterday, took Lamar Jackson at a nice discount. As a result, the guy after me who wanted Lamar desperately, he then reached 20 picks for Kyler Murray to get back at me. That is where we are in draft season right now. So I'm going to keep that in mind as we draft here. And of course, we're going to start with the news. Man on the thumbnail, Jahmyr Gibbs, hamstring injury for Jahmyr Gibbs. The chat's already talking about it here. I guess there was brief concern that it was an ACL tear on Twitter, but not the case. Seems like a hamstring injury. I mean, it's confirmed to be a hamstring injury. Question is when he goes. The Twitter doctors feel like he should be able to go by week 1, perhaps with a slight loss of production. I would say for Jahmyr Gibbs, I think he'll be fine early enough in the year. I wouldn't sweat it. With these injuries, these soft tissue things, they can catch up. They can creep up again. The last year, one guy fell and he sucked throughout the year, but it wasn't because of his hamstring. Jerry Jeudy, I would say, would be one guy where you look at him. He had the early season concerns about his hamstring, then went on the PUP list, and then basically came back in and was fine for the most part, even though, fine relative to Jerry Jeudy sucking, but it wasn't his hamstring. Again, it was just him sucking and that offense sucking. But that's the thing I can think of last year. The other side of that would be Christian Watson. Late hamstring injury for him that came up. He went on the PUP list, dealt with it on and off that entire year. So that's the trade-off of it. We will see. Jahmyr Gibbs could be one of those guys, much like Watson, much like Jelani Woods, where the musculature isn't built up enough on both legs. So as a result, he is more prone to hamstring stuff. Who knows? This spot here, obviously, I am low on Breece Hall. I think with what we've seen from Braylon Allen, I'm not inclined to get higher on him. I am more inclined to get higher on A.J. Brown, though. 7% of him would like to at least be with the field on a guy who should get a lot more production and an improved Kellen Moore offense. And there's been a lot of talk about that in the Philly area, and I think some athletic articles as well, just how, I guess, this team needed a Kellen Moore to come in. There's some of the friction last year that arose between Jalen Hurts in particular and Nick Sirianni. So I think this is going to be a bounce back year for the Eagles, or Nick Sirianni gets fired, and probably not much in between. Other news items here. Of course, we hit the news items up top. If you want to get all of my news document, which is now like 10 pages worth, join down below for $4.99. You get it as part of the VIP Discord that I have going, of course, for all of our paying members here. We got Malik Neighbors back stretching, but not in practice. So he's not all the way back, but back out there stretching at all. Not a bad sign for him. Darius Slayton, when Neighbors went out with his ankle injury, it was Darius Slayton coming in. So something to note there where Neighbors is out, Slayton comes up a little bit more. But the guy who seemingly had the most targets, at least in that small sample size of one practice with Neighbors out, Jalen Hyatt. Jalen Hyatt was the belle of the ball, according to the beat reporters yesterday at Giants practice. Washington, so some follow-up on their game, which had weird snap shares, including Jahan Dotson suddenly moving into the slot, Luke McCaffrey not being part of the starting group, as we saw Diami Brown, Olamide Zaccheaus playing outside there. That's still been the case in practice as well. But Washington, according to Dan Quinn, will try out guys in different spots, which is why Jahan Dotson was starting slot. I think that could be good news for Luke McCaffrey. He did play out wide and in the slot at Rice. Still, he wasn't like great at Rice, but it could be the QB play. Maybe give him some grace for that. But if he gets the outside role, if McCaffrey does, I think that would still be a win for him, especially he's going to go in the fact he's probably going in the 18th round now, which sucks, losing some closing line value in McCaffrey. I don't think he's dead, though, so I would say that. The bad signal for McCaffrey, the bad signal really for the Commanders room overall, Washington bringing in Martavis Bryant, who's a guy that Dan Quinn knew from last year. I guess they had him on the roster. I don't think that's a good signal. Whenever you bring in a vet, it's kind of an indoctrination of your room. Doesn't mean Martavis Bryant's going to see time. He's now basically, UFL caliber dust. But it is something there. It's not a great cosign for the receiver room as it is right now. Jahmyr Gibbs, the fall is on. I would like to get more Debo as well. Mostly under on him because I feel like his ADPs have moved weirdly. At this point, his ADP is settled in. He's ranked here. I will go Debo Samuel. And you can see here in my rankings, which you do get as well, part of that membership for $4.99, my updated rankings you can export. And I do them weekly. And at this point, weekly, I got to be real. Weekly might not be enough with how news moves around, but I can't possibly do more. It does feel like now this Gibbs, Taylor, Achane, Barkley tier gets a little bit flatter. People seemingly down in Olave a little bit. His ADP has been coming back down. I don't really get the Olave fluctuations. He's the same play. To me, he's like a first, second rounder. He's a turn guy. I'd say more on the back half of the turn. But Olave just moves for no particular reason sometimes. And we have an A.J. Brown, Deebo Samuel start. 2 key pieces of 2 top NFC offenses. I'm happy with it. Got Justin D here. Appreciate seeing him. Prefer Achane for a full year? Sure. Always thought that Achane Gibbs is the same play. See, I don't agree with that. I would say Gibbs more floor than Achane. Achane more ceiling. I think it's fundamentally it. Like Achane, we know if he keeps that efficiency up, it's going to be there. Gibbs, we know for sure though, 50-50 split, maybe 55-60% favoring him in the Detroit offense. Whereas for Achane, I feel like for Achane right now, especially if Wright gets in the mix, I feel like it's going to be tough to see Achane get 50% of that workload, let alone 60%. So there's similar plays. I can give you that. They're not just like, volume bell cows and top offenses like Barkley, McCaffrey, Bijan like we expect, Brees like I guess people expect, even Jonathan Taylor. I think these guys, there's more similarity for sure with Gibbs and Achane than there is maybe some other backs in that area. I can give you that. My 2019 fantasy team is watering at the mouth with the chance to get Martavis. Even 2019, I feel like his breakout was like mid 2010s, but I might be conflating him with somebody else. It's entirely possible. Is Gibbs really a floor though with Montgomery and Dan Campbell doesn't care care about your fantasy team? I think that with how that offense runs, a lot of signal for more pass game work for Gibbs. I think he's got upside. Like, we talked earlier in the year about the bet that Amon-Ra St. Brown, quote unquote bet. He's basically like, I'll buy you whatever you want. So I'm not sure that counts as a bet. At least as I know betting. I wish that's how betting worked. But no, like you saying, like if Gibbs, Amon-Ra said, if Gibbs got 1,000 receiving yards, 1,000 rushing yards, that he'd get him something nice, and Gibbs thinks that's possible. I think that's a pretty good sign about the guy's usage and how he anticipates it. I still anticipate, though, on my end, that David Montgomery takes a lot of goal line work. So to me, that's the bet on Montgomery. And now Montgomery bet's gotten more interesting for sure. What hasn't gotten quite this interesting is Travis Etienne at 28. Etienne, I will say I moved him up in my ranks. He's now safely top 45 for me. For Etienne, though, he's getting bad signal in the fact that Tank Bigsby looks really good. Now, Bigsby wasn't with the first team in Jacksonville, but I think that for me, Etienne should stay where he is. He played well. He got all the first team work, but we know what's coming there around the bend. Let's see what we get here. This fucker took Devontae Smith. We almost had A.J. Brown and Devontae come all the way back. God damn it. That would have been so sick. God damn, these fucking badgeless bastards. DK Metcalf, I don't mind. Laporta for the bet with Deebo. That's not exactly uncommon. I'll go DK Metcalf here. We'll go back to news items in a moment. So it's an A.J. Brown, Deebo Samuel, DK Metcalf start. RB getting bled out here. We had a shot at a really rare Eagles double stack, but we're not going to get it. That's a bummer. That's a bummer. All right, rest of the news items have my sheet here. It's not the biggest news day, so that's why I'm probably not that urgent. Marshawn Lloyd, quote unquote, should be fine for the season. Came from Jordan Schultz, who's a guy with real sources. National reporter, I think, with the Score right now. I forget where he is. He might be fucking nowhere. I feel like there's so many of these like national reporter guys who are like on the cusp of being somebody but aren't all the way there. I would say no disrespect to Jordan Schultz, who I think follows me on Twitter, so I should be really nice to him. But still, he said he should be fine for the season. I'll go off of that. It's been my bet anyway. Xavier Leggett back at practice for Carolina. He's been coming down in ADP, still playing behind Jonathan Mingo theoretically. Mingo didn't look good in that first game, though nobody did for Carolina in their preseason opener. Bryce Young might not play in the preseason was the latest rumors, or, that came, I think, maybe about a week ago. We'll see if that changes, but hard to see Leggett getting to the first team early on to me. If Bryce Young is going to play in the preseason and if Mingo is looking better in camp still. So we'll see how that goes. But I do think that, Leggett's still a bet you could certainly make. Diggs goes to 40 right before me. Man, Laporta comes all the way back. Obviously, Jalen Hurts would be nice as well, but I think less urgency to take Jalen Hurts, given the fact that we did not get Devontae Smith. I'm going to go Sam Laporta here for the elite tight end. Little Niners Detroit. I'm fairly confident I do not have a Deebo Sam Laporta combo. And again, feel pretty good about the top three: A.J. Brown, Deebo, DK Metcalf. Certainly doesn't hurt that I've finished receiver for my motivation in drafting Deebo. Deebo, I feel like, to me, in terms of guys that I was, I feel like I'm 50-50 on with Deebo. I remember the bad years for Deebo a little bit more than the good years. is basically how I feel about Deebo Samuel, even though, last year I think we would say much better than the year before last. But for Deebo, I think you watch receiver, and he's one of those guys where, boy, he really wants it bad out there, and he wants to win. And the finale, spoiler alert for the finale of receiver, the Niners lose the Super Bowl. Very sad for them. Sad to see Deebo and our boy George Kittle going through that. To be is to do. I thank you for Adam. This Adam bringing poetry. What does old Adam bring? I've never once heard him give me a Socrates-like expression. I know, it's a big spoiler. It's a big spoiler. I know a lot of people maybe have been saving the Super Bowl on their DVR and waiting to see it. And I'm sure they're shocked as well. If they've been saving receiver as well, they're like, wait a minute. These guys were disappointed they lost? Fuck, it's ruining it. Pull the gun out of the trunk and Breaking Bad, why don't you? Is in GTO drafting strategy to take ADP value because odds are if you get to final with ADP value, it's a unique combo. Not always. I mean, you want ADP value to be the thing that drives your uniqueness. But you don't always have to take just the best ADP value. Like, it's still relative to structure with your team, what you're trying to accomplish. Jalen Hurts falls all the way to 46. I figured Devontae guy would take him, but he, in fact, goes to a guy with Jamar Chase, Olave, and Achane. So we are in the badgeless drafter corner here. They all have their little dunce caps on. They're sitting in the corner, and they are, let's see, they're doing really interesting things, I'm sure. Really interesting RB-heavy things coming in the 1, 2, 3, and 4 hole, perhaps. Hates again at 28. I mean, to the 3 holes credit, like, I don't think Jalen Hurts unstacked would be the move necessarily. That said, at least he's not taking Travis Etienne, Travis Etienne at 28. He's not taking Derrick Henry and McCaffrey and then taking Lamar and Andrews, pivoting from receiver for 4 out of 5 rounds. So I'll give the old 3 hole some credit there, I guess. Badge is 500 drafts. Black badge is 500 drafts, I believe. Or is it 100? It's either 100 or 500. Somebody can correct me, I'm sure. Red badge is 1,000. Pretty confident in that. Bijan Gibbs, super unique. Yeah, probably is. Maybe a little bit less so earlier in BBM, but unique enough. 500 black. All right, yeah, there we go. I think Alex got it first. Terry McLaurin at 54. I feel like the one guy who's immune from whatever's going to happen for Washington. Let's see what we want to do with this other side of the equation. Ridley, AR, Keenan Allen, big, heavy Keenan Allen weighing 230 pounds. I'll go Keenan Allen here. At a certain point, I do need to take more AR, but I feel like if I'm taking AR, I kind of want Pittman to go with it. We have Seattle, Chicago here. We also have Detroit, Chicago in week 16. So I thought Keenan Allen's the most valuable there. Keenan Allen had 100% of the snap share for the starters going. So that was a positive for him in preseason week 1, even though he had no targets. 0-0-4-1 build as a team so far. A.J. Brown, Debo, DK Metcalf, Keenan Allen, and Sam Laporta. We were really one pick away from this being a fucking dynamite team where if I'd gotten Devontae with A.J. Brown, could have taken Hurts instead maybe. I don't know if I still get Laporta somehow in that equation, but I think this team is just a little bit off for being like really sick. Instead, it's just a nice little team we got going so far. You thought the bad is from winning money? No, I don't. They would never say that. But no, that's not. It's just spending money. The exact opposite, in fact. Rest of the news here. Ricky Pearsall remains out with a shoulder injury, so Leggett back at practice. Ricky Pearsall still out. Jermaine Burton might not have played with the second team because they couldn't move the ball. So basically, he didn't play earlier on in the game for Cincinnati because of the fact the second team couldn't move the ball, so they couldn't rotate Burton in, was what Zach Taylor said. So Burton, with how he played against the third team primarily, looked pretty good. Got to think they'll make sure to get him in the mix more. But he might not be as far away from the first team as that first game looked like for Cincinnati. So that's one other news item. I'll save it after this next pick. I feel like now this guy's going to take the whole clock, and I probably could have gotten it out. Taylor Haymaker, what is he going to do? All right, so, I mean, AR came all the way back. At this point, take Christian Watson, doesn't do anything for me. Take the RB here, can build on Seattle, Chicago, and I do think Kenneth Walker is looking like a pretty good pick these days. I like AR, obviously, but I'm just not building that way, and I think Kenneth Walker might be mispriced. I had him lower. I don't think he's in the same tier as Rachaad White. I think he's substantially ahead of Rachaad White with how Seattle's treating him so far. Kenneth Walker's a guy where he's got juice. He also makes some bad plays, which is a concern, I think, more so in the previous regime, which is what I favored in Zach Charbonnet last year. Took him out of Charbonnet. This year, we have an ambiguous backfield coming in. Charbonnet playing the first week in preseason. Kenneth Walker sitting with the starters. A lot of signal as well about Walker being a guy going into third downs, making big plays. Guy who's also had a lot of red zone work last year, and I think he holds on to it. To me, Kenneth Walker, I would like to get more of him in the 60s, and it wouldn't shock me if there's more signal coming in the next few weeks and he gets the 50s. Because I think casual people like Walker as well, which is great. I'm going to go with the casual guy. Still love AR. It just unfortunately was not an AR pick for me right here. All right, rest of the news items. Again, we're going down on ADP, so less important as we go. Kamani Vidal. This is one for a lot of you guys out there. I gave him the death sentence bump down in my ranks yesterday. I don't think it's good for Kamani Vidal. I've never been to the bag for him anyway, so I was kind of ready to do it. But Kamani Vidal, rumored to be a cut candidate by The Athletic. Jaret Patterson, as we've talked about a few times on stream, has been playing ahead of Vidal basically from day one. So is Isaiah Spiller back in minicamp. People kind of plugged their ears about that or didn't pay enough attention. We're still pushing the Vidal bags. Not looking good for him. The one thing he has going for him is that he was drafted by this regime. He was brought in, presumably with some say, by Jim Harbaugh. They wanted to have him there, so maybe that's it. But he's been getting so outplayed by Jaret Patterson that it seems like Patterson's going to win the job. And I think Vidal could hit the practice squad. I think that would be possible. I can't imagine another team would go out of their way to go get him necessarily. 1% Vidal Beach. I mean, look, hey, it is what it is. Jalen Naylor has had one of the very best camps of any Vikings player, was the exact quote. So Jalen Naylor playing incredibly well right now. Certainly a player that we've had our eye on. I am still a team Brandon Powell. I think he's still a threat overall, but Naylor's playing well. So Naylor probably locked in that wide receiver 3 role. He's definitely going to be one of those guys that's going to have some upside in that offense. And last news item here, Odell Beckham still not off the PUP list. Is quote unquote week to week. Odell was a guy I thought had some utility to take occasionally. AR did not come all the way back. That was a downer. The guy with Josh Allen took AR, which is a very fun combo at that level of discount. Tough price to have 2 QBs in this range, but see how he sticks to landing with that one. But yeah, so there we go. That's the news items. Odell, though, kind of sad to see, but I think he's going to go quietly into the night more. Contract, though, feels like he shouldn't, but that's neither here nor there. We got JMO here. JMO would make sense of this team as well. We're very matchy right now, but I can live with that. I do like Brian Thomas more generally, but again, I think we're building some really nice correlation here for multiple weeks. So we're going to go Jameson Williams. This team, I think, if it can get to week 16 and week 17, really feel good about how its outcome might be there. So I like that one a lot. To be clear, he's a cut candidate because he's also been hurt and not practicing, and he's a low capital draft pick. This is a bad take. Alex, you're a sharp guy. I don't know why you're getting worked up about it. You must have drafted a lot of Vidal and you're trying to cope a little bit, is what that sounds like. But yeah, he was hurt. He's hurt. He's a low draft capital guy, and he played at Troy, and he's had less juice than Isaiah Spiller, who also Jim Harbaugh, I forget which show talked about this yesterday. It might have been the ADP chasing show. Jim Harbaugh also recruited Spiller pretty aggressively in college. And Spiller was a pretty good prospect at one point who actually played at a legit college against legit competition. So maybe cooler heads prevailed. They realized that Vidal was not the guy they thought he was. I don't know. But you could sneak a guy like that in the practice squad. So, you could probably sneak Isaiah Spiller on the practice squad at this point as well. And Jaret Patterson. I mean, Alex, I got to tell you, I think multiple people in the chat would agree that chat read like a man worked up about Vidal. But it's not the flaw in the Twitter logic. I really would say that. I think it's a bad way to look at it, but you're a sharp guy. You can figure it out yourself. I'm not gonna yell at you. I know you know what you're doing. But it's not looking good, man. Anytime they're telling you might be on the roster bubble, it's not a good sign. Speaking of roster bubbles, another just big movements in my rankings. Moved Luke McCaffrey down to the 18th round pretty aggressively. Moved, unfortunately, my boy Troy Franklin down. I still like those bets. It's just one to me where I can't in good conscience have anybody else bag chasing for me. So for Troy Franklin, I still think the talent's there. I still think the upside is there theoretically. The Sean Payton of it all. And in particular, yesterday, I'm just really down on the usage the more I dug into it. Devon Vele, also like people flooding Troy Franklin down because a 27-year-old guy looks better than him. It's a tough scene right now for Troy Franklin town for sure. Oh boy, I see. Okay. We got Kenneth Walker here, AJ Brown. I see interesting chats. We'll get to them in a moment. All right. What else are we building? Pittsburgh, Minnesota would be nice. Tennessee. I mean, Najee's just an okay value at this point. I think I'll just go Najee. Correlating for last year's week 17. Is that correct? I feel like that was Seattle, Pittsburgh. Anyway, we got a 0-2-5-1 here. We got Kenneth Walker, Najee Harris, AJ Brown, Debo, Jaden Daniels going to 90. Debo Samuel, DK Metcalf, Keenan Allen, Jamison Williams, Sam Laporta is the room so far. Feeling pretty good about the team. Just want to make sure we get it right. And let's see. Tyrone Tracy apparently hurt. Air casted out. That's not good. What happened to Vidal? He was reported by the Athletics to maybe not be making the roster. He's been hurt in camp. He hasn't had a chance to win a role, and he's now behind Jared Patterson apparently. And also Isaiah Spiller. But that's sad for Tracy. I will say, you got to fucking bump up Eric Gray now. Eric Gray, I think, should reliably going in the 18th round with what he showed and what I've talked about enough times on here, including going back to last year. Eric Gray had a lot of fucking juice in college at multiple stops that were really big, including OU. He played really well. So Eric Gray had the good preseason game. Think he is going to be going. If I had to guess, Eric Gray moves up to that. I mean, he's at least a Tracy range, but he might move out to the Braylon Allen range because he's basically a guy where he's now waxed the competition. And Dante Turbo Miller as well is also playing well in camp. He's banged up right now, not practicing. So pretty good conflation of things coming together there. Congregation of things coming together. Giants may trade for someone, to replace Tyrone Tracy. They would just, the thing they were going to use him mostly for was for kick returns. They had him competing with Eric Gray for a while. Then Eric Gray ended up kind of sliding back because they like Tracy enough and know he's going to make the roster for kickoff returns. I don't think they're a for sure thing. People always want running backs to get traded and go to somewhere else. And it's like, that doesn't always happen. And sometimes what happens, like you get Leonard Fournette to Buffalo and it's like the guy goes and it's just a depth chart piece. But, when you miss RB2, like you got to think about it like this. Like think about it, I would say like, Jenga style. You pull out one piece, you have the other pieces there to support. So like, can Eric Gray move up and be RB2 or do they need to bring in an RB2 to back up Singletary based on what we saw in Hard Knocks with the front office and in general, like how that goes. And these guys were competing and then Eric Gray had the good game. My guess is they would just bump Eric Gray up. They might bring in depth for then that RB3-4 role because Dante Miller's hurt. So that's more what I'd expect them to add somebody. It wouldn't be like, they get, if Khalil Herbert were available, I'm sure they would take him, but he's not available. You don't go out of your way to trade him. You bring in then RB3 and for much cheaper. Not that Herbert's expensive either, but Chicago doesn't want to give him up. I know everybody just wants Herbert to go. Just be happy with the fact he might get some first down work. Whenever DeAndre Swift is tired and breaks a 40-yard run, then Khalil Herbert will be there. Yeah, Fournette's the Giants. If I had to guess, it would be more like a Chase Edmonds type would be it. Like that's what you want to replace Tyrone Tracy with. Somebody could do kick returns theoretically, pass game work. All right, we're getting some really big values here on Raheem Mostert. I think I just have to do that here. We're still building out RB. We got 5 receivers. This team is, if we stick QB, which in these kind of rooms is never an assumed thing to happen. This team is fucking loaded right now. And I'd be very excited for it. So we got a 0-3-5-1. I'll save the read until after we get through, but add Raheem Mostert here to 12-pick discount after getting Najee at a 5-pick discount and Walker correlated at ADP when I think he should be coming up. People ask me a lot, who do I want to get more of down the home stretch? Kenneth Walker is one right now to me. I would like to get more of down the home stretch. I think there's very good signal there for both the Seattle offense and for him in particular. You feel like you have a hard time getting to Mahomes? I don't want to go to Mahomes. I don't. Mahomes barely had any 20-point games last year, and everybody thinks it's going to be meaningfully different. I don't. So I don't try to get to Mahomes. So yes, it is hard for me to get to Mahomes because I don't get to Mahomes. But I don't think he should be priced where he goes. I did move him up a little bit just to make it possible to get him if you're using my ranks. But I think he should be behind AR. I think he should be behind Stroud. That's it. But that's how I feel about him. I am not big on ye old Mahomes. Hyper fragile. I'm not a big hyper fragile guy, but this kind of build could work for it for sure. I have like 1% Mahomes. Look, I don't know if it's the right move, but I know with how I see people so cozy with it, the things that I feel like people who I think are sharp are way too comfortable with this year. And for me with DFS, like that's always the mindset I bring with everything is like, what's the chalk? What's the thing that everybody's expecting it's going to hit that's not going to hit? I think the thing that's not going to hit is like Mahomes working out with this fucking cobbled together target share split KC room. And then Lamar and Andrews. I feel like those are the two like very cozy things that everybody is like, this is fucking perfect. How could this go wrong? And I feel like those are the ones that I look at the most and go, then the Jets offense. That would be another big one. So not really an RB pocket here, though certainly, we could go that way. Caleb Williams here with our bet on Chicago, though our bet on Seattle is a little bit heavier, and we could increase that bet on Seattle with Lockett. We could also get Brandon Cooks, who I like. I'm going to go Brandon Cooks for that bring back for A.J. Brown. We're obviously not going to be stacking up Dallas, but the choice of moving up and grabbing an RB here, I feel like all these guys, to me, not guys I want to come up basically around to get. So we're going to stick with what we have here at RB for now. A 0-3-6-1 build, and maybe it is kind of hyper fragile now. We got Kenneth Walker, Najee Harris, Raheem Mostert, A.J. Brown, Deebo Samuel, DK Metcalf, Keenan Allen, Jameson Williams, and Brandon Cooks. Two very similar players, I feel like, coming here for 5 and 6 for me at receiver. Sam Laporta at tight end. I mean, my bet's more on the Geno side here. So I don't want to go. You know what? I could see why you would take Caleb for the 16 part, but that would upset them when I'm trying to do with my other QB. If I'm trying to get game stacks for both week 17 games, I'll say it out loud here because I hate having the double talk around it. Hopefully these fucking buffoons around the corner aren't watching and going to upset my thing. You got to take Jared Goff and Geno here, because if I take Jared Goff and Geno here, I'm getting my Detroit double, which is that bet. I'm getting then week 16 and week 17 correlation against Chicago. I'm also then getting Seattle correlation with Geno here with a double with those guys. So that to me is why this is more of a Geno Goff team as opposed to a Caleb Goff team, because there's overlap then for week 16, which we're trying to avoid. But we'll see. We'll see what we get back. I don't think that build would be hyper fragile QB personally, but you may feel differently. Two QBs who have guaranteed roles in offenses where we've made concentrated bets on these offenses scoring a lot of points. Like those are the bets you make a QB in my estimation. Also, guys, forgot to do my usual plug here. I watched one of those YouTube creator channels, and they're like, get your YouTube subs up by doing this. And basically the thing you're supposed to do is go like, if I've added value or whatever at a point where like you did like, the news segment, I'm supposed to say something like, if I added value here with this, like subscribe down below with the like button. But you guys, so I'm letting you in on the grift here. But no, please subscribe down below. If I've added value to your day today, if just watching me draft brings you joy here, of course, I do drafts every day now, thanks to our friends at Drafters. Monday to Sunday, 7 days a week at 11 a.m. here, I am doing a draft, either a BBM or a Drafters Million draft. So please subscribe down below, hit the like button, leave a comment. Of course, I try to bring my best takes to this stuff every day. I look at the news every day. I check data sometimes. I'm doing everything I can to add value here on stream. So, I don't know. Love me. Love me. Give me that. Good background noise, the occasional good take. Yeah, Shay. You know what? Honestly, I'll take it. I'll take it. Just being good background noise. That's how a lot of YouTube channels get their views. It's people playing it when they go to sleep. Jahan Dotson goes 127. Jared Goff comes back. You guys do know what I love to do. We'll take off. We'll take off. We'll take off. He's too valuable for this team. I would like to have somehow finessed another player and Jared Goff, but I won't do it here. I know it frustrates people when I do that. So we got the bet on Detroit. This team to me is like cooking right now, so I don't want to fuck it up while it's cooking. So Jared Goff, come on down. You bring me joy, Spags. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate that. And I always bring Mo joy. Thank you. That's nice to hear. Thanks. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. Rico Dowdle goes, that's the downer. So if I got Enrico, it could have increased my Philadelphia Dallas bet a little bit, which would have been fun. We didn't need it, but it would have been fun. Oh, Jared Goof. Have you seen his girlfriend? Come on. If that's goofy, you can call me a anthropomorphic dog with a stupid hat. It goes, yuck, yuck. That's my goofy impression. Yuck, yuck. Fucking please. I'd be goofy for Kristen Harper. Hey, Mike Williams going. Interesting to note here. Rico Dowdle coming up. Rico and Zeke flattening out. Is Stafford coming up? This is now a couple drafts in a row for me where I've seen Stafford going. Yeah, no, I think it's just people who are unbadged drafters. Again, not to make it sound like a different class of people, but I think it's less knowledgeable drafters just like, I can't imagine not having Matthew Stafford. When in reality, Stafford's ADP is still around 150, and you can get him in 190 in some rooms when people just don't want him because they have other QBs with Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. So I would just watch out for the Stafford thing, especially if you are somebody that's like, I got to lock him down. You got to know that you don't need to lock him down at 130. You don't need to take a 17-pick ADP swing on him. That's what I would say. Thank you, Matthew. Splash Play is the best ball show around. I appreciate that. I don't know if I'd agree with that, but I appreciate the sentiment. I have elitist best ball takes. I think my takes are grounded in reality. Aaron Rodgers at 135. Bro, this is legit how you kill your team. That's just giving away 40 picks of value between those guys that you could get normally without much issue. This team is ending up very matchy in a good way, in a way that I like. Ty Chandler is the pick here. Ty Chandler gives us some correlation for week 16 with Seattle. And of course, we are planning on finishing a Seattle stack at some point. So Ty Chandler, come on down. Team so far is a 1-4-6-1. We have Jared Goff correlated for week 16 and week 17. We have Kenneth Walker, Najee Harris, Raheem Mostert, Ty Chandler, A.J. Brown, Deebo Samuel, DK Metcalf, Keenan Allen, Jameson Williams, and Brandon Cooks. So Sam Laporta, lead tight end. This team is yesterday's team. I had to cobble together a team as kept getting these little snipes that threw off the structure I wanted to hit, even amidst getting Puka and MHJ for only the second time of the year for me in BBM. That team was like a struggle to get put together. Still think it held up by the end in terms of trying to do what I got to do. This one is perfectly matchy for the two key playoff weeks. So I'm enjoying this. Minnesota's week 15 for Seattle, Chicago. That's right, because they're part of that round robin. So yeah, all right, we're doing well. This might be a Jalen Naylor team, not to spoil it. Also planning on finishing my stack. You can finish whatever you want. Calling the sex shops. Tyler on the randomizer, which I believe got retitled the raunchiest randomizer ever. Be getting those clicks on Tyler being a horn dog. Use promo code SPLASH on Underdog, guys, if you're not drafting on there. Lots of viewers here, so I appreciate you guys watching. Your views go a long way for me as a solo proprietor. Also, your support goes a long way. Use that promo code SPLASH on Underdog to get up to $250 in bonus cash. Of course, you can draft these teams. You get a free pick 'em entry as well. So whatever you want to gamble your life away. That's not part of the ad read. Whatever you want to find joy in gambling with, please go use promo code SPLASH at Drafters. Link in the description too. And if you want to use the data I use on screen as well, of course, you can see my exposures here, the week 16, week 17 matchups, even the points totals projected by DK Sportsbook. You can see that here thanks to Best Ball Overlay. Check that out with promo code SPLASH. Get $10 off. And again, with that one as well, you're basically getting the last month of your best ball drafting here for $20. So pretty good deal. I'd take advantage of it if I were you at bestballoverlay.com, promo code SPLASH. And I say that completely unbiased. The only thing I get out of it is just the joy of knowing you have an overlay. Now, of course, I get an affiliate fee. Yeehaw. Naylor, baby. Naylor really good. Oh, my God. All the jokes. Drafter, Naylor, they're all coming out lately. We got a 1-4-6-1 here. Not the most fantastic pocket in the world. Kind of feels like time to just go up and get some guys that we know we want to have, who might not align perfectly in ADP. And I think one of those guys, I think it has to be Geno. Oh, fuck, I missed the click. Well, I don't mind J.K. Dobbins. I do want to get my exposure up to him, but that was not deliberate. Fuck. I was really sweating out. I was thinking, do I have to go Fant or Geno to make this happen? I think I'm not going to risk, I'm not going to lose Geno, I don't think. But Fant and Geno's probably now gone. So that kind of sucks. I think Geno went 200 yesterday for Pete. So maybe, can we push Geno to 170s? Is that possible? It's probably not worth risking it. Man, I can't, yeah. Feel good about the seam. I think I needed to reach for Geno there and try to get Fant. Dobbins could low-key really help this team. I mean, he definitely makes this team done. I would say this team is like loaded at RB and good to go. I don't know that we needed him, though. Where's the Lockett drafter? Lockett drafter's all the way over here. So this guy at the turn, we need to not do a Geno Fant double tap because that's something guys also love to do. All right, he goes McLaughlin. Come on. Keep it clean. Keep your nose clean, kid. Also, Fant hasn't come down at all, huh? Even with reports that like he's not necessarily locked into a full-time tight end role and he's been hurt a little bit. Kind of surprised that Fant, again, one of those guys, not already pays the tax for their injuries, their bad news items. And Noah Fant, for some reason, seems like a guy that is not paying a tax for at least mediocre news items, if not outright bad. Pizza rooms are usually pretty sharp. This is not a sharp room. I think that's fair. There goes Noah Fant. Knew it had to happen. Knew it had to happen. I'm talking about the one a couple weeks ago where they talked about him mostly being involved, in passing situations, not necessarily being out there to the block quite as much still. So that was from a couple weeks ago, and then he hurt his foot. So that'd be the other part of it. But again, his ADP's only come up. That's not the biggest news in the world, obviously. But those are two things that normally for most players would cost them a couple ADP points, and for whatever reason, did not cost them any. Komet, I don't want to take right now because where his price tag is, and then that makes us more of a Chicago bet. We got to get Geno here. Not going to be too cute. Honestly, I could dollar cost Marshawn down, but I think we're good at RB right now. We will go Geno Smith here. So a 2-5-6-1, Jared Goff and Geno. I feel like some people might feel like that's thin, but these are two starting QBs and offenses I expect to, one to be good and one I expect to be better and on the upswing. So I'm okay with this being a 2 QB build, but we'll see what the room gives us later on. We have Kenneth Walker, Najee Harris, Raheem Mostert, Ty Chandler, J.K. Dobbins. A little bit of a value on Dobbins. Of course, Dobbins was a misclick, but I think I might have been fucked if I had taken Fant there. If I had taken Fant, maybe I would have gotten Geno back still, but I'm not confident 100% with how that turn was going. A.J. Brown, Debo, DK Metcalf, Keenan Allen, Jamison Williams, Brandon Cooks. Of course, a lot of week 17 correlation, a lot of week 16 correlation, game stacked up. And at tight end, we have Sam Laporta. So we still need to get another tight end. So maybe we do take a third QB just for the sake of accomplishing that. There we go. Marshawn Lloyd's about to get stupid cheap. Glad I still have enough capacity to buy the dip. Yeah, I'm locked in, unfortunately, on mostly a bad price. Though, honestly, I still believe in the guy enough that if I dollar cost him down to the 160s, I'm not going to be mad about it. I just can't force my way to it quite as much. But I'd still be content for me. Like, the bet hasn't changed. Like, I'd still be okay having 35% Marshawn Lloyd, but hopefully getting it a little bit cheaper. I've still got over 50 entries, so I can make it work. That's an interesting one. Theo and Daniel Jones. Let's see. What fits with this team? Like, what would get one more? KC for Najee, Cleveland, Raheem Mostert. In terms of receivers here, really, nothing. We have every QB related to our receiver room is gone. And obviously Niners for Laporta, not there. I mean, like, I see one interesting thing that, see what comes back. Juwan and Derek Carr always will play for me for sure. I'll give you that. All right. A couple of picks coming up here. I'm taking a sip of water, recalibrate myself, focus like a true athlete here on stream every day. Very dull point of the board. Besides Greg Dortch at 166, that is not in line with ADP. I guess somebody who had to lovingly craft rankings yesterday for a couple hours. I can tell you Greg Dortch is in the 190s now, maybe 180s. Yeah, 180s. And Greg Dortch, 20 picks early. Feels a little bit aggressive, just a little bit. Shout out C40, another one of our regulars. Appreciate you guys being here. If Deshaun had come back, that's what I was thinking. I think Deshaun might have been a fun click with that, but does not happen. So now we think. 2-5-6-1 build. Do you think the Daniel Jones Theo one is kind of fun? I am still team Daniel Jones, even though I feel like you want to talk about guys up and down in camp. I feel like Daniel Jones has been the most up down with every report out there. It's either he's having a great day or he's having like the worst day possible, and they're baffled as how he's so bad at football. Like that's been kind of days he's having. Don't mind Jalen Tolbert generally. Another RB with Khalil Herbert. I think, man. All right, I think, yeah, we're going to do Daniel Jones. We can do Daniel Jones. One more QB here. We got 3 more rounds. I think we could take, honestly, I think we could do one more game stack. And it might be a good time to take Eric Gray as well, though we have enough at RB that I shouldn't take Eric Gray. But I would say drafting right now with Tyrone Tracy just getting hurt, probably a good time to consider taking Eric Gray, especially with an aircast kind of situation. Bo Nix and Tim. I'm not taking Tim Patrick. It really does feel like I have 4 luxury picks. I really balanced this team well. Obviously, tight end is still an important part to hit. But yeah, like I feel good about where this is right now. And Laporta, he's like, if he doesn't hit, like, you know, I'd be shocked. At least enough to carry me through, giving me median points. Hey, good for you. I got Robert Griffin III also around that range. I was high on Eric Gray. I backed off him, and I do think backing off him was the correct bet because Tyrone Tracy had pulled ahead, but I liked him as a conceptual play. I still don't love the backup Giants role that much. Like, they paid Singletary for a reason. But Eric Gray, they've had will with getting Eric Gray on the field. That much is for sure. All right. Poor Tyrone Tracy. Just going to go undrafted here. We're going to go get Theo first. I think because we need him the most here. And I would honestly like to get to 8% Theo Johnson. Just him being a freak athlete in an offense I expect to be a lot better. I think those are all things that grade out pretty well for me. So I'll add Theo to the list here. Team so far is a 3-5-6-2. We have Jared Goff, Geno Smith. We have Daniel Jones. Yeah, we talked about that earlier, C40, in an aircast. We have Kenneth Walker, Najee Harris, Raheem Mostert, Ty Chandler, and J.K. Dobbins. At receiver, we've got A.J. Brown, Debo, D.K. Metcalf, Keenan Allen, Jamison Williams, Brandon Cooks. And a tight end now, Sam Laporta and Theo Johnson. And Theo is one of those guys that I am happy to be a little more in on down the home stretch. Just got a lot of good signal. I think he and Ben Sinnott, to me, similar plays. And I think Sinnott's more talented. But Theo's in a situation where this is probably the best situation of any rookie tight end coming in. And that includes Brock Bowers, because Brock Bowers is still out there with Devontae Adams. And actually, that's not fair. Brock Bowers is still the best situation because he's the best player. But Theo, like, as a freak athlete who I didn't expect to get run out like this early, I think it's an impressive run out for him so far. Doris Fountain seems like he's going the wrong way. Seemed like he started well, and then now he's coming back down to earth. Certainly a play you can make, I guess, in the 18th round, but I don't think that's where I'm trying to go. Troy Franklin, good for this guy. Don't back off the Troy Franklin train, even though I moved Troy Franklin down. Just so you guys could see here, of course, my rankings that you do get if you pay for the channel. I'd moved Troy Franklin down to 211. I moved Luke McCaffrey down to 210. So I bumped these guys down pretty hard. It hurt me. And I bumped Kamani Vidal down to 227. Kamani Vidal took the death sentence this week. He's not the draftable range to me. Take him for free in the 18th round if you need to. That's it. Oh, they cut Antoine Green. Interesting. I'm surprised to hear that. But he's not been playing well. The ones to worry about more would be DPJ, Donovan Peoples-Jones, and Khalif Raymond, because Peoples-Jones has come on stronger. They like Raymond. And I feel like the Fountain hype has kind of quieted down. Because that's what happens with guys who aren't that good, is like they might have a little bit of a run and be like, whoa, this guy's talk of camp. And then it's like, because they're not good players, they find their depth. They have some bad days. Probably also, it sounds like I would not draft Tyrone Tracy anymore. Aircast, now that we saw that with Rondale Moore, I think once you see Aircast, I think you are probably not wanting to take any shares of that guy. So Tracy, make a manual adjustment for yourself and get none of him. Jalen Hyatt's going to be this pick. So we have a double stack here for the Giants now. And again, this is what you're trying to do. If you feel good about your positions, I love the baseline of the team with A.J. Brown, Debo, Metcalf, Keenan Allen, and then J-Mo and Cooks. So we're just adding on some more correlation on top here. Maybe this giant stack bubbles up. And I think there's a player that you guys probably don't like very much that I will take with the next pick. So we'll see what that is. But guys, if you're watching this one live, appreciate it. Hit that like button and subscribe here. Your engagements go a long way for me as a solo proprietor. Just trying to make it work on stream, trying to draft some good teams, and also give some good news. Talk about the things here every day. Of course, training camp news I am aggressively keeping up with and doing it for free here on stream every day, which is a funny thing I've noticed for a lot of the Twitter guys that are like really good at it. They all have their Patreons now, and it's like, oh, come get some more news behind the paywall. I'm giving you all my sweet news for free. I put my news out there. I shake my news left and right, and I go, hey boys, come get a taste. come get both a gander and a taste. Malik Washington getting picked. Interesting to see. Not the best debut for him. He's in the hunt though. Tyrone Tracy and Rondale Moore, same fate. Yeah. Tough one. Look, I got killed by the Rondale one. You guys know that one. Team Rondale was a free week 17 bring back. Always felt pretty good for that Washington stack, but not today. Giving exposures and news for free. Yeah, it's true. I am a hot dog. That's often what I've called myself. Tyrone Tracy allegedly broke his leg. I don't know. Unclear what the reports are, but carted off Aircast. So no good. Good. I never really liked them as a pick. And I really, we talked about the Gibbs stuff up top. You guys know if you watch the streams, I'm heavy David Montgomery. You still don't want to you don't tempt the gods by going, hey, sweet. But I was never on Tyrone Tracy. So like, I'm not hit as hard by some of you guys might be. So the condolences and sympathies to everybody going through a Tyrone Tracy thing. All right, you guys are going to hate the last pick here. And I could go a couple different ways, but I think, again, getting a game stack here late to me makes sense. And I don't mind getting a share of Javon Baker. I think he'd be a fun bring back. But Alec Pierce is quietly going to benefit from this Josh Downs thing, him being banged up. So I'm inclined to get up on Alec Pierce a little bit more. And I've already got enough Baker at more expensive. I didn't realize I have 7% Baker. It shocks me. So Alec Pierce completes our Giants Colt stack out of nowhere. And by the way, guys, second draft coming up here, so stay tuned. It is a 3-5-8-2 build, the final. We got Jared Goff, Geno Smith, Daniel Jones at RB, Kenneth Walker, Najee Harris, Raheem Mostert, Ty Chandler, J.K. Dobbins. Wide receiver, A.J. Brown, Deebo Samuel, DK Metcalf, Keenan Allen, Jamison Williams, Brandon Cooks, Jalen Hyatt, and the much maligned Alec Pierce. And a tight end, Sam Laporta, and we have Theo Johnson here. So team feels pretty good. I'm in another draft. Let's go right into it. Of course, what always happens when I have a draft like that felt clean from top to bottom, the second draft goes to dog shit. So we'll test this. We'll see how it goes. Pierce is dead. Why is Pierce dead? Pierce is ahead of Mitchell in the rotation, and they're most likely going to be 50-50 guys. It's round 18. We're looking for just some correlation with Daniel Jones. So no, he's not dead. Unless you're being sarcastic. People have declared Alec Pierce dead for a while, and he's very much not dead. We have a spot here. We could take any of these guys. Jamar Chase, if I wanted to get closer to the field on that, I could. I do think Jefferson, a better play overall. I would like to get 2x the field on Jefferson if I can. If that comes at the expense of Jamar Chase, so be it. Jefferson, come on down. The tough part with Jefferson, obviously, is stacking him up late. What's your confidence level in those other guys? We'll see how it goes. 2 for 1 special. What a treat. Well, look, honestly, when the viewers are here, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? I'm not going to do a second draft. Got to do a second one, I guess. Guys, if you're enjoying the stream, use that promo code SPLASH and Underdog. If you've already deposited an Underdog, go check out our friends over at Drafters. Another site on there. If you're close to maxing out BBM, you want to get some more good tournaments. I will say the Drafters Million now, 33% filled, $15 entry, $500K to first place. I got to say, I love the site, love the company. I think they're fucked. They're going to get overlay. And overlay is the best you can do for yourself. So make sure to take advantage of that overlay if you can on Drafters. Use promo code SPLASH, get a $100 deposit match. And of course, I draft teams on Drafters every Saturday and Sunday. I do doubleheaders on there on the weekend. So if you want to play in the world of Drafters, hop in there. Go ahead. Great site to play on. Full point PPR. No pods, no playoff pods. Drafters.com. Promo code SPLASH. All right. I love the Drafters promo code. I got to make sure to get in, guys, because that one, the money hits right away, and we love that. If I'm going to max out BBM, the great irony of my best ball career and having to pay for a startup and keeping it alive is that if I get a lot of drafters entries or drafters affiliate fees, I could max out BBM much more easily instead of inconveniently. So that's the goal. It's like there's no news for this corner here. Jahmyr Gibbs goes at 11. You can now safely get Gibbs in this part of the second round. Not what you want to do. The biggest thing you can do for yourself when you are drafting in August, even if you've been drafting like we have here on stream since January every single day, is you are just trying to maximize your value for news and what is going on, and taking a guy who has bad camp issues because of a hamstring injury earlier than he was going before he got hurt. Probably not the move. Probably not the move. Now, this is political humor, James. I would take Kamala in the family flag football tournament. She looks nimble. I mean, look, if you need a girl on the team, having that one girl can catch a pass, I'm mad about it. Chase is the only player at risk of missing time, and the ADP is not falling. People are blind to the obvious. I don't think he's going to miss time. He's got to give up at some point. But the Bengals, I don't think are going to cave either. The Bengals have been steadfast. They don't want to pay him until next year. So we'll see what happens. But it is one I've wondered when, like, CeeDee Lamb goes at 101 here. When does CeeDee Lamb pay the tax? He's holding out. He now has to agree to a deal, and also the team has to agree to rescind all their fines, which a guy like Jerry Jones might be a dick enough to not do. So that's something that has to get resolved. Tyreek got his deal. Jefferson got his deal. Chase holding in. No price paid for him at all. I think it's got to happen at some point. If these guys don't get a deal by, I don't know, next week, I feel like there has to be some sort of ADP tax they pay because markets start to freak out about everything. Jefferson here. Jefferson and Olave, not a unique combo. I wouldn't mind getting more Barkley, but I'd rather have him, I think, in CeeDee Lamb builds just to make it more palatable. I'm going to go Olave here. I'm still cozy with Olave. This spot, getting no real value back, like Saquon is the value here, doesn't do a lot for me. I don't get how really nothing interesting came back, given that these guys came up for Cup, came up a little for Achane. People without a badge, players without a badge and Underdog, they cannot resist this combo. What is one simple trick for an unbadged drafter to have a great time in a best ball draft? It is drafting Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley. The more fun one, as you know, and then the sharp version of that would be Christian McCaffrey and Achane. Like, that's the RB piggy one they can't resist. This guy needed a third RB. He should. I would have died if he'd taken a third RB. But Devontae at 26, got to give him credit. If he keeps hitting receiver, that's how you bail that out. But that's the issue for these guys usually, is they don't really reapply the draft capital you need to. If you take 2 RBs early, it's not the best. You just got to make sure to hit receiver hard and hopefully get some values going your way. All right, Olave. I mean, all these guys are perfectly fine. ADP-wise, the pick would be Devontae. My ranks, it would be Devontae. I didn't get Devontae last draft. I would like to get more DJ Moore. And more Metcalf, honestly. I'll stick to ADP. With more than 50 drafts left, it's just not time for me to start reaching too much for guys yet, I don't think. So for right now, we'll go with Jefferson, Olave, Devontae. Devontae, too, is a click I have a hard time passing up because of the fact he's had really good camp reports. We saw last year with what Keenan Allen did as a primarily slot player in a Kellen Moore offense. We now have a better QB situation and a better player at, what should be the prime of his career. So Devontae Smith, to me, is a hard guy not to have on a team. And I guess the fact that I do take Devontae more with CeeDee Lamb, it makes sense to get some Jefferson with him as well. So it's a play we'll live with. Obviously, cruising towards 0 RB, it looks like. And let me update the banner. This is BBM number 98 for me. I haven't been announcing the draft count either. This is now stream draft number 169 for me on the year. So I think we might have already set the record that I think Pete would have set last year. So I don't know how to confirm that. I'm certainly not going to. But I feel like I'm not going to celebrate until I get to 200. I think the goal is going to be to get to 200 stream drafts by the end of the year is what I'm shooting for in my head. Well, if I can accomplish that, I'm not sure. But who knows? Maybe more surprise doubleheaders coming up. Only 98 when you're doing a mega stream. I mean, I'm not going to, all of my entries are not going to be on stream down the home stretch. So that's one thing that I was deliberate about this year, where I want to make sure I'm taking advantage of soft rooms and also like keeping more entries till the end of the run there where I want to hit. If I am going to max it out, I'm still not 100% sure I'm going to be able to afford maxing it out, candidly, because how much probably has been a fucking money pit. If we get investment for probably, then I'll be able to max it out. If we don't get investment for probably, I'm not going to be able to. It's basically what it is. But I'm trying to no matter what. So my goal is to put most of my work on stream. And then when I get to the last week of August, then just hammer it off stream pretty hard while having the most news, while having whatever. And then, if things work out the way I'm hoping, I'll have like roughly 120 done on stream and like 30 done off stream by the end, which would feel better. Mr. 200. I think 200 to be a nice round number. We do love round numbers here. And 200 feels about right from, starting in January. Week 1 battle royales would not count. That would not count. It's got to be best ball drafts. Has to be big board and BBM. But that's the goal. So stay tuned here. If nothing else, you guys are going to be getting every day a week drafts from me here on Splash Play. Drafters, of course, on the weekend. Go check out Drafters again. Promo code SPLASH at drafters.com. Get a $100 deposit match, pure match on there. We also do giveaways as well with tickets every weekend. And all of you guys who did get win the giveaway this weekend, believe you should already have the tickets in your account as well. So make sure to check that out. If you're one of the 4 winners, give away 4 $15 tickets for the Drafters Million this past weekend. So check it out, drafters.com. And of course, promo code SPLASH at Underdog. Got to plug, guys. Got to pay the bills, support the show, etc. All right. What are these guys going to do here? Room has not been too crazy. That last room, I think, was more interesting in terms of the weird stuff going on. Here's certainly some dumb plays, like 3 RBs in the 12 hole. It's not going to help you out. Play the GIF. Here we go. Some RB piggery going on. Possibly also drawing a chunky. That's what it's like. Taking 3 RBs out of your first 4 picks. Curious to see what this guy does as well. If he deviates, if he does the Lamar Mark Andrews, I would not be surprised, but that will absolutely bury him at receiver. So just some of the things to observe going on around us. The world around us. The saddest world around us, just me alone on a screen, looking at other people's selection of colors and player names. Call the Guinness World Record books. I don't feel like that's one they would cover, if I had to guess. But it should count. Let me achieve greatness. Let me achieve greatness and give me fucking Zay Flowers at 44. How does that guy get that shit? Now I get no discount Pickens. I mean, I can be the one that does the Lamar thing, I guess. I'm usually not the one that does the Lamar thing, but let's do the Lamar thing for once, huh? Or, you know what? I could do Pickens and Rashee Rice. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Trying to get Pickens here. Think we have a pretty good shot of getting Rashee Rice around the bend. I'm going to hope that's the case here. Because now this guy's going to try to do the Andrews Lamar thing, so he should be occupied. This guy now can't do the Andrews Lamar thing. He might be a Rashee Rice reacher to get. It's a good playoff pods of the new Schnauzers, in my opinion. Oh, there we go. Look, they're rolling out new tournaments. I'm not sure if they're trying to slow down BBM's fill rate or what. This guy's still trying to catch up a receiver. And look, if you're going to do it with Adams and McLaurin, I don't hate what he's doing. You always reserve judgment on the badge drafters and generally assume the worst. The unbadged drafters. All right, Rashee Rice goes. That sucks. That sucks. Feel like getting a Pickens Rashee Rice share with this kind of build with Olave, Jefferson, Devontae, that's like a good way for me. That's like giving a dog medicine wrapped in cheese for me, where it's like, I don't love Rashee Rice. I don't love Pickens. You give me them in week 17 correlation with a bunch of other good receivers. I like them a little bit more. But unfortunately, we're not going to achieve that. And now we kind of have to decide what we're going to do. The Lamar guy also didn't take Andrews, which is kind of dumb. Could just go up and get Xavier Worthy, who might be coming up anyway. Xavier Worthy, no chance going to come back. Hollywood Brown, taking the big dip in ADP for now. I'll go get Worthy. Don't believe in this pick that much. Taking him at pick 52 feels really lofty. But I have so much Keenan Allen. I've got enough Xavier. Well, actually, Jaden Reed might have been a good pick as well. But I was locked in on this fucking Pittsburgh KC thing. So that's what's going on here. Yeah, Worthy, he's coming up. I don't know if he's coming up to the 50s yet. but we'll see. Team so far, though, is a 0-0-5-0. Another 0 RB start, technically. Justin Jefferson, Chris Olave, Devontae Smith, George Pickens, and Xavier Worthy. Really wanted Rashee Rice, and I probably got a little brain locked on the idea of just taking KC. Think Jaden Reed might have been the better pick there because we do have Minnesota and New Orleans with Green Bay. Might be able to solve that later on. And as I think Jeff points out, I might have been able to do Reed here, Hollywood here, and that would have been also as good and would have solved both things. That was stupid on my part. I don't think you hear, I will say, I don't think you hear streamers say that often, but I admit, like, when there's a move that I didn't quite handle correctly and it's hurting me a little bit in how this could have been this much better, I think that's one. Getting Reed and Brown would have felt better, but it's okay. We will survive. I think I like Reed over Worthy as much as I hate to say it. I probably do too. Worthy, look, if you get Worthy, the one thing it's going to be fun is you are getting the fastest player in NFL history in a KC offense. Like, there are good things for Worthy as well. But that said, I think his usage is going to be low. As I've talked about enough times, there were a couple of days where they did the target counts for the Chiefs that the beat reporters did, and it was like Kelsey 7, Rashee Rice 7, Hollywood Brown 6, Xavier Worthy 3, and then everybody else is getting 2. Like, that's how I view. Oh, this guy in the 12 hole is just dying here. You cannot live with a team like this unless you're making, like, to me, if you're making the Josh Allen stack bet, like, you're making some late stack bets here to hit, maybe pop up a receiver. But you cannot do hero wide receiver builds like this without elite QB who has late draft partners going with him. It just makes no logical sense. It's a really bad team in the 12 hole. It's not what to do. Now, we probably have some people out there who look at that and go like, oh, it's fun. And it's like, you are so dead in receiver in an underdog ADP market. Really tough. Yeah, there we go. LOL 12, All right, lots of chats going back and forth. Appreciate all you guys being here. Again, if you enjoy the show, if you get value out of this, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a comment. All your engagements matter a lot for me here. Sole proprietor, just gambling here on stream, but trying to do it as intelligently as possible. Obsessing over football, taking all the knowledge I have as both a DFS tout previously at Stochastic, person who ran Football Outsiders, worked with the sharpest analytic minds there, and then learned, oh, there's a bunch of fucking old guys who are kind of weird. Bunch of weird old white guys. Who would have guessed? But yeah, that's but you learn. Jaden Reed goes 67. Tough scene. Christian Watson comes back though, which was my was my backstop in my head. So I'm gonna go Christian Watson here. We still got the Minnesota Green Bay thing going. Think we'll hopefully get an RB around the turn. And if not, the world's our oyster. But this is now functionally an extreme 0 RB. I feel like I need a gift that's fully extreme. This is extreme in a different way. Extreme. Look how Pikachu can't believe how extreme the 0 RB room is. This room, this is not a diet Mountain Dew. This is a full calorie Mountain Dew of extremity we're having here. This is vintage Paul Heyman, Tommy Dreamer getting caned by the Sandman, Raven, whoever. You got canned by a lot of different people. That's how extreme we're getting here today. So it's Triple X. It's Vin Diesel. It's Vin Diesel snowboarding with really bad CGI. That's how extreme we're getting today. Crazy drop on Reed, but that's his DK price. I think people may be starting to catch up with the fact that he's also, the entire Green Bay receiver room, besides maybe Watson and Dobbs, and even then, like, if Wicks is good, it's just a fucking crowded room. A lot of guys are going to get a lot of reps. They all should be a little bit cheaper, to be honest. But I think Watson and Reed should flatten out more. And I guess people want to drag Dobbs up. Like, Dobbs is at 100 now in ADP, which I was shocked to see yesterday when I was updating my rankings. Pick coming up here. Thought we'd get Kamara back, which we don't. We got a nice Minnesota Green Bay thing going here. I think Aaron Jones fits that pretty well. Nothing else I want to go up and get. Kyler, always happy to have in an Arizona bet, but we're not there. Or a Rams bet even, but we're not there. Aaron Jones instead. Come on down. 12% Aaron Jones for me so far. We'll add on to that. Aaron Jones is the first RB off the board. I guess some would call this a hero RB build, even though this is not possibly hero RB. Extreme zero RB team here. We really need to not draft another receiver at all, if not until like the last few rounds. We got Justin Jefferson, Chris Olave, Devontae Smith. A little bit of values on these guys, so tangentially more unique. A little bit of value on Pickens, and then I wipe away all the value and I reach for Xavier Worthy by 10 picks and Christian Watson as well. So 6 receivers in the first 6 rounds. Functionally, you should not be drafting another receiver at all if you want to really maximize the value of that. But you can take one, 15, 6. Like when you catch up everywhere else, you can take one more receiver if you want. But that's the Extreme Zero RB build. Written a lot. Hayden Winks is one. Wrote it up a lot that I thought had some of the better write-ups that put me on this structure a little bit more last year. And I think in this year in particular, where everybody's really cozy taking an RB in the first 5 rounds, you go Extreme Zero RB. If I had to guess, Extreme Zero RB will probably be like 10% utilization. Because like you don't see it ever happen in rooms. It's me here doing it, and everybody else deviated somewhere for RB, for QB, for tight end, for 7 RBs and 7 tight ends. So I still think Extreme Zero RB is the one way to get unique you still have out there. Minnesota wants to get Jones 18 touches per game. Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a split with him and Chandler. I think they're both valid picks. I don't think it's a split in the same way where it's like, we talk about Chase Brown and Zach Moss. We talk about Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears. Like those guys to me should basically be next to each other. Even Zeke and Dowdle, like they're just similar bets that are probably going to have shares of a backfield that's going to, go more to the hot hand occasionally. For Aaron Jones and Chandler, I think it's Aaron Jones they want to give the most work to. But we know Aaron Jones is older. We know he's got a history of a lot of soft tissue injuries. So you're absorbing some of that risk for sure with Jones. But I think it's more like a 70-30 split favoring Jones. So if I had to project it, I guess it would be like 15, 18 touches per game. Intended touches, including targets, would be my guess. There we go. J.D. McCarthy and Naylor. That would be fun. That would be fun. Oh, wow. Another what? Hopefully not another injury. Carson Steele and Justin Ross seem to be a thing today in Chiefs camp. I still don't think that matters. The Carson Steele thing, maybe he becomes the Kyle Juszczyk to that offense. And I guess the ceiling would be he becomes Jerick McKinnon, but I just don't see it. He's like a blocker. He's what people thought Ben Sinnott were when they were calling Ben Sinnott a fullback. Like that's what Carson Steele is. CH out again. I mean, look, CH holding on to that backup job. You're still ahead of Derek Prince, but he doesn't practice. Guys have good preseason games. Certainly possible. I guess you could see one of those guys go. Dobbs at 89 here. So we were just talking about that. Very lofty for Dobbs. Very, very lofty for Romeo Dobbs. I don't agree with it. I think he is the least talented of the top 4. It's like he's the weird irony of Green Bay. He's the most trusted. Like Jordan Love likes him a lot. They're pals. As I've talked about going back to last year, Romeo Dobbs is the one traveling to work out with Jordan Love. Christian Watson was not. And that was something that impacted their connection early on in the year. And it still carries through. Kyler Murray falls to 90. This is so odd. This room is doing really casual shit, but then they're not doing casual shit like taking Kyler Murray somewhere logical. Like why did the Harrison drafter already had Hurts, but you just take Kyler at 87, man. All right. We got our KC Pittsburgh bet. Jalen Warren is a part of KC and Pittsburgh. So don't think we're going to stack up Pittsburgh necessarily because that's kind of a gross one. But I do want to get to the field on Jalen Warren, a guy I liked a lot last year. Don't love the price tag for him quite as much this year. He's going to be our RB2 here. So a 0-2-6-0 build. When you do Extreme Zero RB, you also have to be mindful of adding your correlation on because you can't add it on at receiver really. So trying to do that throughout the entire draft is a priority if you're doing this kind of build. But Aaron Jones and Jalen Warren are the RBs. Jefferson, Olave, Devontae Smith, George Pickens, Xavier Worthy, and Christian Watson. Those are the plays right now. And we'll see what we get on the way back. Like a very logical pick for me at pick 100 coming up. But we'll see what we get. Still having a great camp. So was Eric Prince last year, and Prince got cut. Yeah. Well, he didn't get a role. Seems like they like him over the rugby guy. Yeah, rugby guy is more for kickoff returns, and that was always the plan. But they use him at running back, but he's not going to get that much. That guy's just there because teams are experimenting. The kickoff thing is probably going to lead to the most experimentation in the NFL we've seen in quite a while. Should be interesting to see. I've enjoyed the new kickoff rules quite a bit. That play just now not being basically an extra commercial break, I think is a positive. All right, pick coming up here. Hit some chats in a moment. Pass it. Yeah, this I will say this. Hurts, Murray, that's a fucking crazy QB room with no bye week conflicts either. If you can get discount Murray when you have Hurts and you have Marvin Harrison Jr., I don't know why you wouldn't do that. Okay. Really, Sophie's choice here between Jaden Daniels and Jordan Love. Jordan Love, though, is the play here. We have this bet on Green Bay and Minnesota, and the Minnesota QB situation is unsettled. So we're going to take the QB who is a little more settled, and that's Jordan Love. So team so far is a 1-2-6-0. We have Jordan Love, Aaron Jones, and Jalen Warren here. And, of course, got a little bit of a discount on Love, a little bit of discount on Jalen Warren as well. Justin Jefferson, Chris Olave, just a bunch of micro discounts here. Olave, Devontae Smith, George Pickens, Xavier Worthy, the one big reach. And Christian Watson brings us the, again, stack partner here for Jordan Love. Christian Watson, despite his failings last year, not paying off at that top 40-ish ADP, still in the bag for the guy. Still think he's the most talented receiver in that room. Still the best red zone threat. Still the best deep ball threat. Wicks, good. He'll fill in if Watson gets hurt, and maybe he can ice Watson finally. Dobbs, trusted as we talked about. Least juice out of everybody in that room. Jaden Reed, clearly just the slot guy and how they view him. He's not going to get on there for enough reps to really be a guy, I think, that can have the upside like Watson does. Game to game, like Reed can get there. But I still am Team Watson, so basically it. Anyone be surprised to see New Orleans deploy Taysom on the kickoff? It would be logical, but maybe they view him as too valuable. It's kind of a balance there with how these teams are approaching kickoff returns, where it seems like some teams are willing to play, a starting caliber running back. A lot of teams don't want to play the number one running back, but will play like the number two guy who has a role or a receiver who's important. So the speculation that a lot of the beat reporters had earlier on, and the athletic people, I think in particular, writing about it, was that once players see the kickoff happen in real time, that star players will be asking to do it more because you theoretically are going to have a lot more shots to break touchdowns. So we'll see how it goes. Also, the Bijan, JT, Derrick Henry start. That would mean you got some. Actually, no, you didn't really get value on that. It wouldn't be good. You really have to hit receiver like your next 8 rounds in a row and then try to get to 8, 9, 10 maybe. So you're really upsetting the course of your team, but it's all how much you fill up the buckets. Like that's why the draft capital buckets that I think Mike Leone was the first to come out with. It's just if you're taking one out by limiting all your receiver upside, you got to keep in mind here, you take 3 RBs in a row, you are missing out on the first 30 receivers basically. So you're missing out on basically, what would be in a redraft league, wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, and wide receiver 3. So if you do that, you really need to hit receiver hard and give a lot of volume to it after that. So it's not an ideal structure. The win rate structure for it is really low historically. Not a good move in best ball. Frankly, not a good move in redraft leagues either. But Jaden Daniels goes at 108 to the dumbest drafter in the room, which maybe that's the curve here. That's the IQ curve thing. But Jaden Daniels goes Burr. The dumb drafter was able to come up with that. Oh, man. Jaden Daniels, how does he not come up? I've said it before on stream. Jaden Daniels has had great camp reports for a month now. He has one drive in here, which he does all the things that are going to make him fantasy viable. And in my estimation, be a top 5 fantasy QB on the regular with a lot of top 1 weeks. And he goes at 108. He's down in ADP in this room. How is that possible? Why do people hate Jaden? He's a Heisman winner. I know Heisman winners have not had the greatest NFL success, but he was a Heisman winner because he had one of the best years in college football history. Unbelievable. He had to get that historical commander stack for sure. Gee whiz. Getting Watson is why the worthy pick was good. Yeah, we 1v1'd it. We got, instead of Reed and Hollywood, which we wouldn't have gotten back anyway. So I actually might have made the right choice on that one, even though it didn't feel like the right choice at that time frame. I'm not going to shush about Jaden Daniels. I shouldn't be getting negative CLV on Jaden Daniels. Like, it's fucking insane. If you take anything away from the stream, if you're a new person around here, a lot of viewers today, just know the fact that Jaden Daniels is everything you want in fantasy football. High pace, deep ball throwing, accurate, runs a lot, EPA player at every level. I will not be silenced. Which is unbelievable stuff. All right. Gus, I take a lot of. This feels like an RB spot. Dallas Goedert does technically correlate with Philadelphia, but it doesn't feel like something we should take. I'm going to flip. Well, do I want to flip it this much? I'm going to flip my exposures here and go Rico. I have a good amount of Zeke. I still think Zeke is preferred bet, but I'm at 16% Zeke. Dowdle is okay enough. I think we saw the signal this past week, basically, where Dowdle played a preseason game where all the starters sat. That was also affected by the fact that Royce Freeman was out, Deuce Vaughn is out. That impacts Dowdle. Like, he basically is young enough to go, well, fine, we'll put him out there as well. But I think for Dowdle, I should have these guys flat. Like, these guys should be exposure-wise the same bet. So that's why I'm doing that here, even though I just have enough of these guys. I love Jerome Ford. Zeke, I'm okay with the potential role. Gus Edwards, I'm okay with the potential role / I like the potential role. Got enough of these guys. I do want the casual crowd to catch on. Like, the casual crowd should be steaming fucking Jay Nails in the 70s. So I can have some CLV to balance out my Troy Franklin and Ben Sinnott and how they've fallen. I want CLV too. What's keeping Gus from 200 touches and 10 TDs? J.K. Dobbins, an injured guy. The offense not being that good. That's potential there. I would say those things primarily, but I like Gus. Like, again, I'm 2x the field on Gus. I don't want to be 3x the field on Gus, though. That pocket, I want to have exposure to all those guys close to evenly. CLV is somewhat overrated. Let me see. Well, again, as I've said before, like, CLV just means your team might be a super team by the time you get to closing. That said, like, CLV doesn't functionally matter. If you build a structured team or a team that's structured well, like, you'll be fine. All right, we got a lot going on here. we got a lot to figure out. We got a lot going on. At this point, still not a tight end spot for us. Still not a QB spot for us. I think Jerome Ford feels like a good click here. And that's what I'm going to do. Ford, to me, coming back was enough. I could start to push more Eckler. Not a big Blake Corum guy, which people who follow the stream for a while may know, but I just think he's not. He was a lot better the year before last in college, first part. Second part of it is that, like, I think he's mostly a contingent value bet for when Kyron were to get hurt. He's probably got a 20% share besides that, which is not enough to excite me in this range compared to guys like Rico and Jerome Ford, who theoretically could lead that backfield for a while. So that's how I view Blake Corum, because I feel like I've not hated on Blake Corum in a while on stream. Yeah, it's that easy. It's that easy. The point, though, and I know that Copy Paster is doing a joke, but, like, picking the winner, and this is something, again, for the people out there, I know when the views are up, we get more people who aren't as, like, locked in and obsessed about all the best ball nerd stuff and the data and historical structure and win rates and all that. But, like, picking the best team, the way you do that is by having structure around it that allows you to sift through the good teams and the bad teams. Otherwise, you're just basically playing, an 18-round parlay, an 18-leg parlay for yourself, which is never going to be a thing that wins, like, especially in tournaments of this size. Like, honestly, for Fareed Shaheed last year, I feel like that's about as close as you get to a parlay hitting, but it was still a bunch of, like, mini stacks put together. So it's still correlated bets that were correlated for week 17. And I think that's the main thing to keep in mind here is, like, structure is what allows you to have a shot at finding the needle in a haystack. And, being aware of that is, like, the most important thing. I'm probably soapboxing a little bit because I know how it is in August. Try to give things I've learned the hard way. Paul B catching up on the news of the hour. Yes, Tyrone Tracy went out, air casted, probably done for the year. Fair assessment for Gus Bus. Chargers project to be one of the most run-heavy teams in the league. I want their RBs. Yeah, look, that's why I want more Dobbins. If I'm gonna have 16% Gus, I want to be at least 8% Dobbins, maybe even 12. I think they're to me the Miami RB bets, which are never gonna have the ceiling of Achane and Mostert last year, but the bets this year that are like that: Chargers, Tennessee, Cincinnati, Washington to some extent. Green Bay, I think both sides can hit in terms of Lloyd and Jacobs hitting in different ways. Dallas would be another potential Miami situation where maybe both of them hit. The very least, one of them probably hits. Denver's kind of one. Giants were never one, though, for what it's worth. I don't think. We'll see what we get on the way back, though. I think the team's coming along nicely. Just got to stick the landing at QB, which is always the most delicate part of the equation, as we know. Let's give the team a read here heading into our next pick. It's a 1-4-6-0. Got Jordan Love at QB, Aaron Jones, Jalen Warren, Rico Dowdle, and Jerome Ford. So feeling pretty good about this room. Still probably a 6 RB room. Justin Jefferson, Chris Olave, Devontae Smith, George Pickens, Xavier Worthy, Christian Watson. So we're pretty much done at receiver here. So we want to limit ourselves potentially at QB. One of the Pittsburgh guys, one of the New Orleans guys would be pretty logical. And in some respect, the Minnesota guy might make more sense. Anyway, we'll figure it out. 1-4-6-0 build here. Oh, Tyron, your beloved. Here we go. Here's the Tyrone Tracy guys coming out. Sorry to hear it. Before, I was like trying to not be mean about the Tyrone Tracy thing. But now, because I don't know who's out there. I don't want anybody to feel bad about their picks. Injury stuff sucks. Like it's never a good feeling. Like I can tell you that when one of your guys goes down. We got Gabe Davis here. It'd be a nice pick. I feel like you could make both sides of the Minnesota bet and not hate it too much. The rest of these QBs do nothing for us right now. Musgrave at tight end would be an okay bet. And I think that's what we're just going to do here. Feels a little bit early for Musgrave for me. But we got the Green Bay double going. We got Minnesota bringbacks. Really big game stack for Minnesota Green Bay right now. So I'm happy with that equation. I think both wouldn't be crazy. Where can we go to find the winning lineups from last year? BBMDB probably has it, if I had to guess. If not, you could just search and you should find the screenshot of it. And very nice by D. Owens. Listening to Spags really help you improve how you build teams and understand structure. I appreciate it. Look, you guys know from watching the stream, I believe very much in the power of player takes and my own personal belief that by doing research here and being publicly accountable as well every day on stream for stuff being right and wrong, I think my player takes are some of the best that exist in the world for what we do. That said, structure is the whole fucking thing. You can't outwork out a bad diet, and you can't outdraft bad player, bad structure. You can't do that stuff. So that's mostly how I view best ball. Kind of things I go wax poetic on here in August. We are in the home stretch though, guys. 7 days a week of drafts here on Splash Play. Pick coming up, but please subscribe down below. Hit that like button. Leave a comment. Your engagements go a long way for me, a sole proprietor, especially to try to build up this channel into a real business instead of just me gambling my money away on stream. But the hope is that on stream this year, we've produced a BBM winner and a big board winner and a Drafters Million winner. All of them. I want them all. Anyway, it's a 1-4-6-1 here. This is the normal spot Marshawn Lloyd goes at, so we don't really want to try to go his way right now. It's not time to reach up at QB either. I think I'm just going to get more Dobbins. Passed on Gus. Feel okay about Dobbins. Don't want to take Lloyd at ahead of ADP right now because I would like to dollar cost him down more if I can. So we are going to go RB5, J.K. Dobbins. You're not out of the Marshawn Lloyd biz. We are out of the Marshawn Lloyd biz at ADP right now. This team so far here, we have a 1-5-6-1 with Jordan Love as our lone QB. Of course, got some late guys on the board. Aaron Jones, Jalen Warren, Rico Dowdle, Jerome Ford, J.K. Dobbins is the RB room. Feel pretty good about the RB room. Still think it could use a sixth. I don't think it hard needs a sixth. Receiver, we have Jefferson, Olave, Devontae Smith, George Pickens, Xavier Worthy, and Christian Watson. And a tight end, the second half of that Green Bay double with Luke Musgrave. So we're game stacked for Minnesota, Green Bay. At this point, going to be hard to game stack for New Orleans, Las Vegas, but we are most live to take New Orleans players late as part of the stack. We are game stacked for Pittsburgh, so this might be a Russell Wilson or Justin Fields team. I think that's it. I like that Bobby just comes in here always for like underdog updates. He's got to fill a room or he's got to know about a schnauzer. But I guess it sounds like it might have filled or maybe they pulled it. I'm not sure what the deal is. They might have taken it just off the homepage for some reason accidentally. But I'm not sure. I'm not in the mini schnauzer business. I'm in the big game hunting business of BBM. And I can only do one. I can't do multiple drafts. Like we've talked about a few times here that our pal Pete Overs that wrote about in his email. And it's talked about on stream as well. The way you avoid draft fatigue, if you have draft fatigue, just fucking do the one draft you want to do the most and max it out. And that's where we are this year, which I've been happy with. Every draft is a new opportunity. Khalil Herbert in the 150s. No, thank you. No, thank you. That is misreading. Justice Hill, 157? How many fucking RBs does this guy need? I mean, I guess he finally got to 5 receivers, so good for him. My God, dude, when you invest in this many RBs in the first 4 rounds, that's it. You don't need more. Maybe add one more. Not just keep taking more and taking them 60 spots ahead of where you can normally get them. 12 hole. He's got to lose his knighthood. Sir Samson. My God. Squire Samson. Peasant Samson. Serf Samson. I could do more. Pauper Samson. Blacksmith Samson. Not Sir. Woo. There's some kind of typo, so they pulled it. All right, there you go. Love how you react to other people's terrible draft. I mean, look, it might theoretically help me, but Jesus, man. Can't get away with this stuff. We're on camera here. I'm like the guys like doing private detective work on those, or like in the early 90s where it's like, oh, we're undercover finding this scandalous shop. Your local news network probably still does it. Like, oh, we're busting somebody here. I'm busting perps in the 12 hole who fucking don't know how many RBs you're supposed to take. Anyway, it's good for the advance rates for sure. That's why we like these rooms. But boy, don't emulate that. Don't look up to your local knight. Tough scene. 1561 build here. Don't think it's time to panic about QB, but it is time to think about, do we just take QB to end the horrors of waiting around for it? One more RB wouldn't be bad. And I feel like Antonio Gibson is exactly the kind of build that the guy that fits this kind of build. Antonio Gibson, come on down. You are RB6. And we're going to solve the QB conundrum down the home stretch. We have a 6 RB room, a 1661 here. Jordan Love, Aaron Jones, Jalen Warren, Rico Dowdle, Jerome Ford, J.K. Dobbins, and Antonio Gibson. So week 17 oppo correlation for these guys. Yeehaw. Justin Jefferson, Chris Olave, Devontae Smith, George Pickens, Xavier Worthy, Christian Watson, and Luke Musgrave. So got to add some more on top here at QB and tight end. Still probably, I honestly could be a 3-6-6-3. Let's see. Let's think about this. I think I got to take a QB with this next pick no matter what. All right, Noah Fant goes. I think it's just time to get Carr, right? Yeah, it's Russell Wilson for sure. Yeah, honestly, it could still be Fields. I don't know. But I did knock Fields down in my rankings. 2 fumbles in the preseason is not good. I think it's just Derek Carr time. It's just a guy who, to me, will never be correctly priced. I've got him at 183, though I do move QBs up a little bit to try to account for the fact you just don't want to go into round 18 needing your QB2. But Derek Carr, I'm taking at 172 here. Of course, he is stacked up with old Chris Olave down here and maybe another player to come. Got 3 rounds left, and it could be 2 tight ends coming up. We'll see. 100% of Russ team, 2 fumbles, has to have Fields in the doghouse. But the thing is, if we're still playing for week 17, I think taking Fields in the last round would be okay. The thing for me is, like, I think taking Fields in the 170s was always a dumb shit move. I don't want to do that. So discount Fields, sure. But as you can see from my rankings here, which again, you get $4.99 down below if you hit the join button. Like Geno, Mayfield, like these guys should all be around here. Like, you need to get your QBs and get the fuck out in the 170s and 180s. Like, the guys in this range are not worth picking over that. And I love guys like Audric Estime, Braylon Allen. We know has a backup role, a contingent value role. If not, at this point, earning himself 5 to 10 touches a game with Breece Hall there. These guys are fine enough picks. QB matters so much more that I would just not want to leave this range without my QBs. Personally, how I feel about that. Love seeing me dipping back to the Pickens. Well, I'm not. To be clear, I'm not really. This build, I just wanted Pittsburgh KC a little bit more because that is one of my least stacked up week 17 playoff correlations. So saw the opportunity to do it. I think Pickens at this point with Kirk coming down, Rashee Rice coming up, McLaurin in this range, I think Pickens is okay. Would have taken Zay Flowers over him if he had fallen 10 times out of 10, though. Oh, that's an interesting thought. Mayer is a tight end 3 bring back. I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all. Especially with where we are right now in terms of, like, the Vegas players to take late would be Trey Tucker, Madison, Labe. Mayer would fit the build. I'm sharp. Take Pickens. I'm one of the worst picks at ADP. It's him and Lad McConkey, 2 of the worst picks at ADP right now in any build. Fields' last round is fine for the weekly ceiling, but he's not starting all the games this year. Yeah, I think in this kind of team where we have Love and Carr, I think this is where you can afford a Justin Fields and just, hope and pray. But I got to get other stuff. I think that's just a luxury at this point. Baker going at 182. Where'd Stafford go in this room? Just out of curiosity. Yeah, Stafford went 150 here, so at his normal ADP. Just again, that last draft, the guy taking him at 130. It's been 2 or 3 drafts on stream lately that somebody has been fucking out of their mind to take Stafford and oh, I got to get him now, otherwise I'm not going to get him. And really bad pick when you get the guy at 150. I don't think you should never really be talking yourself into a guy with a low advance rate. I functionally believe that. That's how you cope with a team that you feel like didn't hit the notes you wanted to hit. It shouldn't be a sales pitch for a guy. And I'll say it again, how many spike weeks did we see for Drake London last year in Atlanta? Did we even see one? And I don't think it's Drake London. I think it's that offense, that gosh darn Arthur Smith offense that's running 13 personnel at a high rate already. I think Juwan makes sense here pretty much always. And I think we're just going to get that pick out of the way. We could push Juwan around, but I'd rather get the New Orleans double. And I think that Michael Mayer is a valid 3rd tight end here as well. But I'm not sure. The issue that I was struggling with is I think Likely and Jonnu Smith, theoretically, you want to take them above Juwan Johnson, I think. But for this build, he does make more sense. Oh, JJ getting knee surgery? Oh, it's tough. That's not great. MCL though, right? Or is it scope? Here, let's look it up on Twitter. See if we can find some dirt on JJ. They're certainly not going to rush him back. Think this does make Darnold a little bit more drafter. Or a little more draftable, rather. So to undergo knee surgery, determine how much time he will be sidelined. So he's getting a scope, basically. Scope could be 4 to 6 weeks. It's not a torn MCL or ACL, but it's going to make it hard for him to start. When's their bye? Week 6 bye. Yeah, I mean, you know Darnold's now getting you 5 weeks for sure. And I would say, yeah, you're probably looking at McCarthy not starting to like the tail end of the year. And maybe not starting at all if they're in the playoff hunt, which they can be. That's tough. That's a tough one. All right, so like I do like Michael Mayer, but at this point, Isaiah Likely still being here, I think is a better click. So I'm going to do that click instead. So I'll have one more pick to add some more correlation on if I want to. But Isaiah Likely in this build, I think, works pretty well. So huge value on Likely. Team so far is a 2-6-6-3. We got Jordan Love and Derek Carr. Derek Carr, the coziest of blankies for me as a late QB option. Aaron Jones, Jalen Warren, Rico Dowdle, Jerome Ford, J.K. Dobbins, Gibson. Different RB room than I usually have, besides a few of the guys here you can see me having high exposure to. But I like the room. These are all guys I want to get a little bit more of, besides Gibson, who I feel okay about my exposure already with. Jefferson, Olave, Devontae Smith, George Pickens, Xavier Worthy, and Christian Watson. True extreme zero RB team here. 6 receivers, 6 rounds, and then you go away from the position. And you have Luke Musgrave, Juwan Johnson, Isaiah Likely. I think this team came out okay. This tight end room is a little bit weird. Definitely going to have some 4 to 8 point weeks at tight end, but everything else feels okay. Why teams rush these prize QBs and actions beyond? He has to practice. You can't not make the guy better out of fear of hurting him. You got to let JJ McCarthy go. If he has an injury and you push him through the injury, that's the bad thing, but they didn't do that. He just hurt his knee. Naylor is still an option. Frankly, well, no, because we already have the Green Bay side. I was going to say maybe this could be a Darnold build, but you don't want to. I don't need a game stack the same game. Feels like a redshirt season at this rate. Also missing a month of camp and practices. I mean, the tough part for him is he was starting to show out a little bit more. Even how he handled the interception. He's been playing well in practice. It's tough. It sucks because I think JJ McCarthy is talented. Still think he could play this year, but yeah, you're running the risk of it not happening. Where am I at in exposure? I got 5% McCarthy. I'm not really impacted by it. The big board, I'm going to be a little more impacted, I think. Maybe Jeff. We don't know. I was thinking Trey Tucker potentially, though. He's a good bring back. Oh, Michael Mayer gets drafted, as he should. I don't know if I moved Mayer. Where did I move Mayer to? I didn't move Mayer up enough. That's on me. I think Mayer's draftable, though. He should have been a guy I prioritized getting to. Where did I put him in this list? So he would have been... I have him ahead of Jelani. Yeah, he should probably be in this Gerald Everett range. If you want to manually do that, if you're using my rankings here. Naylor goes. We will not nail her, even though we hardly knew her. No Jalen Naylor today. No, I've walked this back. The last few weeks, it's Naylor over Powell. I think Powell's still in the mix. He's not like Naylor's not a lock play, but you can take the shot. Madison for RB7. I think it's a Trey Tucker team. I think that was right. Trey Tucker, bring back for New Orleans, week 17. Big play guy. Don't expect him to be terribly involved, but he might be. It's a 2-6-7-3 build to close us out here. We have Jordan Love and Derek Carr at RB, Aaron Jones, Jalen Warren, Rico Dowdle, Jerome Ford, J.K. Dobbins, Antonio Gibson. So a well-rounded RB room here we got to. Receiver, extreme zero RB stuff here. Jefferson, Olave, Devontae Smith, George Pickens, Xavier Worthy, Christian Watson, and Trey Tucker. Then a tight end, Luke Musgrave, Juwan Johnson, and a deep discount on Isaiah Likely for no particular reason. And I didn't realize we got week 16 correlation for Pittsburgh. So there we go. Did not take the Justin Fields or Russell Wilson. I just don't have confidence in how that situation goes, and I don't want to risk the zero on either side, especially when I actually needed players there. So that's my logic for it. If you guys enjoyed this one, I do drafts here every day, so please subscribe down below, hit the like button, leave a comment. All your engagements go a long way for me, a sole proprietor here, just showing you my work here, talk about how I view football with the wealth of experience I have from a bunch of different places. So please subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment and all that. Of course, if you're not depositing on Underdog yet, go play on there. I have a lot of fun. I did a second draft today. Didn't even plan on it because that's how fun it was today on Underdog. Of course, hanging out with you guys as well. But go to Underdog, use promo code SPLASH to get up to $250 in bonus cash. So Most amount of bonus cash you'll find in the business. Of course, you could also check the link in the description too and go right over there right now. And if you've deposited an Underdog, support the show and go play somewhere else. Go to Drafters, drafters.com. Use promo code SPLASH on there for a $100 deposit match. The big difference on Drafters is that there's 17 weeks, no pods, no playoff pods. The luck component's totally gone. It's also full point PPR. And last year I put in 9 entries, most of which were on stream. I still finished top 110 out of a bunch of entries on there. It's probably going to overlay as well. So I really can't tell you enough. This is obviously an ad, but like legit, like if you want your money to go further, if you're maxing out BBM, just don't do the next mini schnauzer. Do the Drafters Million, $50 entry fee, 500K to first place. It will go a long way with promo code SPLASH. Probably, my baby. Check it out, probably.com if you want better sports betting data in your life. Market data from the top performing sportsbooks around the world. Make it easy for you to make good bets on your phone. We even have a Bet Now button so you can actually place the bets using a mobile browser. So check it out at probably.com. And the best ball overlay tool you saw me use on screen here. I'll pull it up one more time. You can see exposures, the week 16, week 17 matchup, all the stuff here that's helping me balance my portfolio more seriously than I ever have. That's what I'm getting with the best ball overlay tool. So go to bestballoverlay.com and use promo code SPLASH on there. Shout out to all the fine folks who've joined the channel. You too can join down below for $4.99. You get my rankings, my news update document, which has all of them going back to the beginning of training camp. You also get a VIP Discord and something else that I'm forgetting. 10 team reviews a month for me. So join down below, $4.99. And hey, I'll be back tomorrow with more, guys. So gamble responsibly. And hey, this has been money time today. A couple good drafts. I'm happy with this one. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at Splash Play Pod. And hey, let's look at this egg. There we go. See you guys tomorrow with more. Enjoy your days. And of course, good luck. Bye-bye. No, and also, please, no more injuries, right? Please. Good luck. Bye-bye.